Back in the timeline where Jack saved the girls, Jack, Tenenbaum, and the little sisters lived their lives on the surface for a while. The girls grew to love Jack very much until he died quickly due to his aging condition. Down in Rapture, where both Ryan and Fontaine dead, Lamb was the only power left in Rapture.
Andrew Ryan. He reckoned the free market was some kind of Holy Spirit gonna lead us all over the rainbow. And I reckon it's a big fat hooker too dim to spot a wooden nickel. So old Andy went and became his own ghost, and I whittled nickels till I made a mint.
Lamb emerged from Persephone, unchallenged to the rule of Rapture. The Rapture family became the ruling class of Rapture, giving power to the previously powerless. Most of the population was still spliced, and Lamb still forbade anyone from leaving.
Sophia Lamb's had her eye on Rapture for years, and now she's got it. She started preaching unity and brotherhood for the downtrodden right here in the drop. This movement springing up around her is almost a kind of old-time religion. Now, these governors Lamb's got in charge would never have seen power in Ryan's day. They're nobodies, really. But I used to raise spaniels, and the only thing meaner than the top dog was the underdog, when he had just plain had enough.
I figured out how to reprogram a bathysphere signal beacon to scramble Lamb's torpedoes. But I need access to a bathysphere, and Porter's got the only one in the den locked away at his private dock. Son of a bitch, why doesn't he open up?
All right, diary. Last entry. Lizzie and I, we found a sphere, and we're going home. Ain't that right, baby? Next stop, topside.
Oh, I love you. It was you who saved us, Sammy. It was you, Button. What was that? What's that sound?
She's seen us. It's Lamb. Torpedo! Ah, I'm trying to...
When Lamb took over Rapture, she found the research about Jack's conditioning, and it inspired her to conduct experiments to make a perfectly good human being.
Prison, it seems, was a blessing. Ryan is now dead by his own son's hand. But far more interesting is the program of compulsion bred into his child, coded WYK. It was some manner of verbal trigger phrase, which the boy would obey as an order, unerringly. In a way, this sad thing, this half-man, had escaped the self. Highly intelligent, but devoid of so-called free will, with all its convenient blind spots. What if he had been instructed to uphold the common good? What if he were a volunteer? This calls everything into question. Even as I record this, I can scarcely believe. Psychiatry has been my continual study to chart consciousness in all its strata. But intelligence does not require introspection. The son of Ryan was more effective than all his self-aware rivals. He lived without questions. I could end the self and save the world. Until Adam, the human animal was a slave to the gene, the inner tyrant. Lust, greed, rage, self-obsession was etched into our DNA. We were not pulling the great chain of progress, as Ryan believed, but shackled to it. But now, in theory, we can redraft the human blueprint. Serving the common interest can become as natural as breathing. The tyrant will simply go extinct. Rapture. The keenest minds in the world, united under the ocean, yet somehow expected to subscribe to the same model of self-interest. Ryan could be staggeringly naive. As individuals, no matter how brilliant, each was a prisoner to his or her own ego, a sea of dreams in constant flux. But in Adam, their genes remain, ready to be tested against a moral vessel. Utopia cannot precede the utopian. It will exist the moment we are fit to occupy it.
Alexander was one of the few surviving people who hadn't been spliced. So, naturally, Lamb recruited the brilliant scientists to help run Rapture, conduct experiments, and make sure that the Big Daddies were still able to repair the facilities.
The genius of Sophia Lamb is a thing of empathy, a profound moral sense. I can only describe her as a kind of secular saint. But dividing her loyalty evenly across the world at large spreads it so thin as to be invisible to some. Love, I have found, is beneath her. Naturally, Ryan arrested her, gave her to Sinclair to incarcerate somewhere, but upon her escape, she took the city and changed my life forever. The situation is getting dire. Splicers are so desperate for Adam that they're ganging up on Big Daddies and killing them, quite methodically. In response, we've started stocking the vending machines around Rapture with protector munitions, so that our agents can resupply Big Daddies in the field. Frankly, this is all so tedious. The end may be nigh, but for me, it's just more paperwork.
Dr. Edward Grimes was another surviving scientist who was conducting less than moral experiments. Lamb recruited him as well.
Name?
Where am I?
Name?
What the fuck did you do with my wife?
Name?
Let me out of this chair!
Meanwhile, Alexander developed a new type of Big Daddy to keep up with the destructiveness of the splicers, adding to the previous Bouncer, Rosie, Alpha Series, and My Kniver's Den secretive Lancer type was the new Rumbler.
The rate of sister loss has become unacceptable as Big Daddies are brought down like elephants under a pack of hyenas. In response, we've begun production of a newly designed Big Daddy model, nicknamed the Rumbler. He launches high-explosive munitions to disperse groups of splicers, followed by miniature automated turrets to mop up the stragglers. Our tests find that the Rumbler's performance is highly effective, if messy. In Rapture's arms race, splicers aren't the only ones that are evolving.
Now that Lamb was in charge, she was able to try and heal her daughter, Eleanor. Upon seeing her, Alexander realized that she was the first little sister he had bonded, and he vowed to do his best to treat her.
Our hope was to bond a little sister to a single protector, so she had to be expendable in case of error. As we were fabricating a father bond, we couldn't really afford to have the girl's parents asking around. So, Fontaine's orphanages provided, and the procedure was an unprecedented success. If I had only known who the child was, Eleanor, I'm so sorry.
This is Eleanor Lamb speaking. It's been many years since my last diary. Mother found a way to rehabilitate me psychologically, but she can't remove this thing inside my body. I look in the mirror and I see a freak. I remember very little. Just an artificial sense of peace and a compulsive hunger for Adam. Dr. Alexander is trying to help me adjust. He's responsible for part of my condition, but he wants to make amends.
Since by this time the little sisters had aged, Alexander put the girls to use by utilizing his experience with Big Daddies. The older, armored girls became known as Big Sisters.
We put our eldest sister through a new regimen of physical and mental conditioning and suited her up with modified protector equipment of my design. The younger ones have dubbed her a Big Sister. Sadly, this is a stopgap. Between rogue splicers and the aging of the girls, we'll run out of viable little sisters soon. After that, the surface may be our only source. The little sisters are getting older, which is troubling. As they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral. Worse, the Adam they ingest contains traces of lethal plasmids left over from the war. The splicers are becoming far more effective predators as well. Our big daddies are falling left and right. Perhaps the elder sisters could be trained to sniff out the lost Adam and reclaim it for us. Yes, from what I've seen, they certainly wouldn't have to wait for the culprit to die.
Lamb asked Gil if he would be interested in volunteering for her utopian experiments to create the perfect person, and he accepted.
Sophia believes the perfect human altruist is just a formula, waiting on us to solve for X. Intelligence and consciousness are not the same, she argued. Awareness of self naturally becomes obsession with it. So, if we could suppress my sense of self, but imbue me with the cognitive capacity to serve the common welfare, we could thereby generate the first utopian. And then, Sophia said, at long last, utopia would follow.
Dr. Alexander has agreed to accept both measures of the new utopian project. He will become a kind of genetic chimera, host to all the minds of Rapture, accessing their talents and memories via the Adam we have gathered. And deriving in part from Project WYK, I have developed a new set of behavioral constraints. Dr. Alexander will live to promote the common good. His love and loyalty shall be spread evenly across the entire human race. For me, that is discipline at great personal cost. For him, at last, it will be instinct.
Alexander was injected with a lot of Adam from all over Rapture, with the memories used from the most accomplished people in Rapture. The tests were initially a success, however, the side effects began building up, turning Alexander into a mutant abomination.
I was to be Sophia Lamb's greatest achievement, a living composite of all Rapture's genius in the body of a single man, unfettered by self-interest. Now, I am nothing more to her than a failed experiment. My scores on tests of intelligence and moral reasoning are still noteworthy, but declining sharply. She has abandoned me, and I do not have long before psychosis takes me. Agnus Dei.
Alexander then set up a series of pre-recorded messages to guide future people to take down his future self, knowing he would go crazy soon. He regretted the experiment, and he hoped that someone would prevent him from hurting anyone else by ending his life. Meanwhile, Lamb turned her eyes to Eleanor, and Lamb began to believe that Eleanor could instead be the first utopian.
Mother has destroyed Dr. Alexander. She tried to splice him into some kind of living saint, who would calculate the common good and adhere to it tirelessly. But now he's become something unspeakable. Mother's philosophy is just as corrupt as Ryan's. By her standards, it would be better to have the entire world equally miserable than to allow us to strive in our own behalf. I have to get out of here.
Eleanor's condition may be a blessing in disguise. Early splicing tests indicate 0 genetic damage due to her condition as a little sister. It appears that she is our new vessel. This will be no mere personality schism, though. Rapture's genius will be held within her DNA, able to shift into desired patterns at will. A utopian cannot be confined to a single throw of the genetic dice. When needed, she is a composer, a dancer, an engineer. She truly will be the people's daughter.
Mother says that my condition is a blessing in disguise. She constantly reminds me that I was born for the express purpose of promoting her ideals. And now, she's trying to convince me to begin splicing with the same cocktail that drove Dr. Alexander mad. She thinks that my condition makes me immune to the damage. The surface is my only chance at freedom. But Mother took the one person I knew from above and murdered him in front of my eyes. Father, if I could only find a way to bring him back.
Eleanor didn't look forward to the experiment, but her mother gave her little choice.
Lord, what more do you wish of me? Your wretch of a servant waits for word. I have followed the letter of the Holy Mother Lamb, though she will not tell me the day of your return. I watched as you smote down the false father, Andrew Ryan, who tempted us away from your radiant gaze. But ye would not speak to me, Lord. I have built for you this great temple, and gathered your flock, yet still you were silent. Will you not strike me poor brother blind, so he may at last behold your glory, as was done to Paul on the road to Damascus? I am alone, Lord, alone, and waiting for a sign.
Meanwhile, Father Simon Wales remained one of Lamb's most trusted followers. He had his own church with his unique religion, where he offered hope to anyone who followed Lamb.
Been hearing rumors. Sounds like somebody named Wales is starting up worship services down in Siren Alley, believe it or not. All faiths and creeds welcome, they says. They got big promises, salvation, immortality, a way out of here. I don't care how crazy it sounds. A way out of Rapture's music to my ears. Next Sunday morning, I'll be there.
Andrew Ryan left us wandering, confused, and alone amongst yesterday's wreckage. But Sophia Lamb shows us that we are not alone. We are together as a family. So when you see a man brought to his knees, recognize that he is your brother and pull him up. Sophia Lamb teaches us what is in common is good. What is irreducible is right. She guides us all to the indivisible along a river of Adam. Rapture's daughter, Eleanor, shall be our vessel. In her, we shall be reborn. Brothers and sisters, the temptation to languish in self-pity is great. Who can deny it? Beleaguered as we are by the sins of our past. But self-pity is no more than a tricky shade of pride, freezing us up when we should act. The Lamb's path leads us beyond the reach of the self, obliterating the ego. But we must work for it. We must not lie caged in our bones, groveling at the ego's altar. Hearken unto me, my children. I must tell you of the Demiurge, the proud and blind architect of all creation. The Demiurge was the dream of the one true God, cleaved apart from him as he slept. It held a part of the Lord's energy and took the shape of a worm with the head of a lion. Ignorant of the one true God, and believing itself to be the sole craftsman of the firmament, the Demiurge breathed life into the earth, and so it wrought the crude and base design men call natural selection. Life was cast in moving clay. One ineffable spark of the sublime Creator, thrust by the worm into imperfect flesh, and ascending only over eons of ignorance, pain, and sin. Too late did the one God wake, and saw what the Demiurge had done. The Lord then cast the worm into the sea, where it lay for thousands of years. Now let us speak of today, my children. The Demiurge tempted Andrew Ryan, and I was his disciple, a blind architect myself. Arrogant of my gifts, I raised this shrine to the pride of man, Rapture. Then we, the slaves of Ryan, discovered the worm where the Lord had cast it down, right here in the ocean. And in the envy of the Lord, we did take its dread power into our blood, naming it Adam, in mockery of the one true God. And lo, as we bent our shapes to suit our perverse whims, our false church of Rapture was beset by flood and war. And in the folly of my pride didst I weep. But hark, for a secret son was born unto Ryan, the immaculate begat of the profane. Then, though he spake not a word, did the son of Ryan smite down the father in sublime judgment, and the dynasty of sin was as dust. The son of Ryan went hence from Rapture, after the death of the father, but he will return to save us from the demiurge within. We believe in the daughter of the Lamb, hallowed Savior and anointed vessel, whose blood with our blood, sin with our sin, mind with our minds, life with our life, lifts us up from the depths, transcends base temptation, and delivers us all from ego. We commend ourselves to the new and unknown, born by our common strength and guided by the Lamb.
Simon also took the time to try and make up with his brother, Daniel. As they had been estranged for quite some time now, Simon offered a gift to Daniel, but it was rejected.
Daniel, you and I drafted Rapture's blueprint together. Whales and whales, architects. Do you remember? But Andrew Ryan led us astray, my brother. Turned us from the Almighty. Dr. Lamb offers you salvation, Daniel. I ask only for proof that the barest flicker of faith remains in you. I left a gift for you at the Pink Pearl, in your offices. Find the code on it, brother. We shall pray together for your sorry soul.
Tonight, I had a pain in me head. And this time it wasn't from the whining of the whores. So naturally I came up to my office to murder it with a drink. And there on me liquor rack is a bottle of sacramental wine from my dear brother Simon. And of course the vintage date on the label is the code to enter his territory. 1919. I should pass his bleeding wine through my system, send it back warm. Fuck it. I'm proper drunk and feeling introspective. Now in the motherland, Simon and I designed cathedrals together. But I was the black old sheep back there, never believing a word of the Jesus bollocks myself. Then Andrew Ryan says he wants whales and whales for Rapture. A cathedral with no God, befitting the ascent of man. Now I'm running girls, and Simon thinks he's saving souls. Father Wales. Ha! Can you believe I share a womb with such a slap?
Since Jack and Tenenbaum had taken most of the little sisters, Rapture burned through the few they had left.
Little sisters are all gone. I ain't seen one since who knows when. Big Daddy's still wandering around, keeping busy. I see a leak spring in a window. Then one of the big oafs wanders on by and seals it up. Like clockwork. If it weren't for them, Rapture would have been completely flooded for years, I figure. Big, dumb animals. Why can't you just let it end?
To replenish the supply of little sisters, Lamb organised a new program where the big sisters would be sent to the surface to kidnap children from the surface world to be taken to Rapture to be turned into new batches of little sisters. There was one big daddy that still had his little sister, because he was very protective of her. He was an old bouncer model that was spliced up many different ways, and he had many of Andrew Ryan's recordings saved onto a plate on his body. In an offshoot timeline, he got a chance that most couldn't even imagine. Another multi-dimensional entity, similar to Elizabeth but not quite, made itself known. It was known as the Polygon Man, and it came from a universe with different laws of physics. It created a tournament of sorts, and it allowed many participants from many different universes. This Big Daddy participated, and he was ready for the occasion.
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles, hurry, before the other
One of the other participants was being called a sack boy, and the Big Daddy got jealous of how much attention his little sister was giving it.
I wish I had some jellies. Come on, Mr. B. What's that? This one still sees the sunshine. Look, Mr. B. Jump! Jump! No one needs to get hurt. No one, unless we miss a skip. I like you ever so much. So full of stuffing. He's my new friend, Mr. B. He'll never split us in two. Go back to your underswampy, Mr. B.
Victory! How could this happen? None have beaten me until now.
There's a land called Lily Poppy, and living there is the Lily Pop. I'll go there soon with Mr. Bubbles, and we'll search the place from tail to top. And if we find no Catalammy, maybe we'll dine on ham and jammy. La 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 la. If we can't find come on, Mr. B. Some friends stay, and some friends go. Some friends we never see again. But we keep going on and on. Don't we, Mr. B?
In one alternate timeline, the Big Daddy defeated the Polygon Man and acquired his multi-dimensional powers. He used her to go back home, and he made sure no one ever threatened her. Back in the other timeline, however, Mark Meltzer was a private investigator on the surface who began to investigate the mysterious kidnapping of young girls internationally. The first case Meltzer was made aware was the kidnapping of Maura Clun in Niskaner, County Clare, Ireland, on February 17, 1967. Jemiah Lynch discovered clues of the kidnapper, the Big Sister, but no one seemed to believe him. On March 15, a ship located in Felixstowe Harbour in Suffolk, England, bound to New York, was attacked by a Big Sister, and Mary Elizabeth Sarsfield, another young girl, was kidnapped. On March 22nd, Ulrich Mueller was kidnapped in St. Cloud, France, and by then Meltzer had noticed a pattern of similar features in all the kidnapped children. On April 4th, Chantal Dumas was kidnapped from Western Flanders. On April 11th, Camille Dumas was kidnapped from La Rochelle, France. On April 24th, Elena Rodriguez was kidnapped from La Boca, Spain. On June 14th, Jennifer Walker was kidnapped from Puerto Rico. Meltzer made a report of the missing children, but on June 17th, he received a letter from the Philadelphia Observer telling him to seek psychiatric help. After the kidnappings became more frequent in America, police officers began to investigate as well, but they didn't get anywhere. On July 14th, Melinda Jelensky was kidnapped from North Carolina. On July 25th, the House of Representatives dismissed Meltzer findings as UFO nonsense. By now, the kidnappings had been accelerated to such a pace that Meltzer felt he couldn't keep up anymore. However, the Office of Naval Intelligence, or ONI, used their resources to investigate it as well. They shared their research with Meltzer, but much of it was classified. Meltzer received a list of the incidents as well as a theoretical link to the long-missing tycoon, Andrew Ryan. On September 28th, Meltzer sent a letter to Roscoe Inman of the ONI to thank him for his help and patience. Meltzer said that based on the pattern of data that St. John, New Brunswick, should be hit by one of the kidnappers soon. On October 1st, after waiting for 3 nights, Meltzer managed to glimpse the Big Sister. Upon being spotted, the Big Sister followed Meltzer back to his home and kidnapped his daughter, Cindy. Police investigation blamed Meltzer's UFO obsession to be involved in the disappearance, and Meltzer fell into obsession. He asked Roscoe Inman to continue the investigation when he was locked up in Tollevue for psychiatric therapy to his perceived obsession and depression. After his eventual release, he tried to capture a big sister, who instead gave him 3 broken ribs and a broken leg. He managed to escape when the cab driver arrived. In Rapture, upon receiving the newly formed Little Sisters, Lamb appointed Edward Grimes to take care of them and manage them.
Now, one of the girls managed to dart past the nurse today and throw herself over the railing in the lobby. Not certain if she was trying to end her own life or merely escape. But either way, her legs had healed by the time I managed to get down to the first floor where she lay. Now, without proper setting, the rapid healing process had fused her bones back together at odd angles. We had to re-break and set them almost a dozen times, each due to the small window of viability. Now, those children may be immortal, but I can verify they feel pain. Advising Dr. Lamb on higher doses of sedatives to keep this from happening again. My first incarnation when Dr. Lamb gave me my mandate to alleviate pain was to block its neural pathways. Now, the preliminary results were promising too, until some of the children started chewing their own tongues off out of ignorance. Need to sequester them away from the others so as not to cause undue stress on the remaining subjects.
Meltzer was admitted to the St. Ignatius General Hospital in New York and then discharged on March 6, 1968. His wife, Amanda, divorced him on April 29 due to his reckless actions. Afterwards, Meltzer moved to Montauk. With few leads, he contacted anyone he could, no matter how controversial, like Jemiah Lynch, the witness, Phil Isidore of the National UFO Society, or NUFOS, and Roscoe Inman of ONI. Benny Stanger was the detective who was in charge of Cindy's disappearance, so Meltzer also consulted with him. On May 28, 1968, a big sister arrived at Meltzer's office when he was away, leaving a cryptic lunchbox that was encoded in a Ludwig cipher. When Meltzer cracked the code on June 5th, he found a message from Cindy asking for her daddy. Meltzer and his contacts researched the vanishing, which was what they called a time period where people were disappearing. These were the people who had moved to Rapture, but they didn't know that. A French heiress named Celeste Roger was the daughter of someone who disappeared in the vanishing, and so Meltzer tried to speak with her. Meltzer began to suspect the big sister was mocking him when he received a record from Rapture with sounds of his daughter pleading on it. Carlton Red wrote a book called The Frozen Triangle. Lynch sent a copy of it to Meltzer for his research, but Meltzer dismissed the idea of Atlantis. Ludwig, the crazy inventor that wrote the cipher, disappeared. Meltzer tried to investigate in his factory in New York, but was arrested temporarily for trespassing. He found a metal box containing more ciphers while in the factory. Animosity began to form between Meltzer and Celeste, and Meltzer began to believe he shouldn't trust her. Celeste, however, apologized, saying that she was deceived by Ludwig. Meltzer found records of a yarn company made by Andrew Ryan that ordered a lot of steel, so he investigated it too, finding a map with beach locations on it. On August 8, they found bottles of alcohol from Rapture washing up the shores. Meltzer discovered that Ludwig was supposed to go to Rapture but was left behind due to his insanity. Meanwhile, Lex Harlan wrote articles on conspiracy theories about underwater cities, and so Meltzer tried calling him several times. However, it turns out Harlan just did it for the money, not actually believing any of it. On October 1st, Meltzer found a secret lab owned by Ludwig, filled with Rapture paraphernalia. On October 13th, his place was ransacked by people Meltzer believed was the government. Several issues came up with digging up the past of his contacts, and Meltzer began to lose trust in many of them. Meltzer used the last of his funds to pay Captain Case Ference to use his ship to find Rapture. When the captain began smuggling, however, half of the crew ditched Meltzer. Lynch, meanwhile, had gone off the deep end and kidnapped Celeste, so Meltzer would give him all the information he had on Rapture. Meltzer solved the Puzzle Cube cipher in exchange for Celeste's safety. After working with Lynch and Celeste, meeting Carlton Red, investigating Icelandic records, and solving some ciphers, he found that there wasn't a lighthouse in the frozen triangle region of the Atlantic. He sailed with Ference to the lighthouse, but they were attacked by alarmed splicers who were defending it. They all died except for Meltzer, who made it to the bathysphere and headed to the city of Rapture. Tenenbaum had also already returned to Rapture. She wished to purge the wrong she had brought to Rapture, but she feared new little sisters were being made. She was right and upset.
I am back in Rapture, After so many years, the little ones I rescued are grown up and think of me no more. After what I once did to them, it was a joy to be forgotten. But now, all around the world, children vanish by the sea, kidnapped. And so I return, in fear of what I already know. Someone is making new little ones, continuing my work, my sins. Even if I am to die for it, I must stop them. Sophia Lamb has taken Rapture and is responsible for stealing children from the surface. Her splicers destroyed my submersible and forced me to run. But the ticket booth here is secure, and though I cannot trust him, Sinclair is a valuable ally. I have already rescued a few of the new little ones from Lamb. They all want to know how we will get home. I wish I had the right words for them. Why do I survive when others do not? First a prison camp, then Rapture. Both times I become the right breed of monster to continue my work. They called me Girl Who Is Flashlight, shining brightly on one thing at a time, but blind to the world around me. The Adam slug we implanted inside the little ones is similar. It samples the DNA, it adapts. We thrive, even as the world is drowning.
Tenenbaum spent some time researching for a way to cure Adam, in addition to trying to protect the little sisters as she could.
Adam is a predatory substance. After exposure, a constant supply is required to maintain its effects. Otherwise, the user deteriorates into madness. My plasmid, which releases the little ones from their servitude, is promising, but limited. It only works on the children with the slugs in their bellies. On an adult splicer or Big Daddy, you'll see rejection effect. Undesirable. But if the deterioration of mind and body were reversible, if Adam's sickness could be cured, then its predatory nature would be no more. I have begun testing a new approach to the splicing sickness problem. Adam remembers, you see. The method uses the Adam's own recall of past cell configurations to revert each of the patient's genetic changes. With one final dose, we return the patient to his former self. It is only theory. The number of potential bonding sites for even a single test is innumerable, and I cannot calculate alone. But I have heard of an adding machine at the heart of the city, beyond the capability of any device the world has known. Perhaps, if I could harness its power.
Tenenbaum realised she needed a supercomputer, and there was only one in Rapture, the Thinker. She reached out to Minerva's den, where she heard the signal of Charles Milton Porter. She didn't know that he had died, but they made a deal. If they could find a way to escape, they'd escape together. With the Thinker's code, once on the surface, they could try to research a solution to Adam's sickness. So Tenenbaum rigged the fighter chambers to revive an Alpha Series Big Daddy. Its designation was unknown. However, she and the unknown subject, or subject unknown, spent some time acquiring all of the little sisters that they could. Eventually, Tenenbaum tried to revive another Big Daddy, Subject Sigma. She sent him into Minerva's den to try and see if he could fight through the splicers there and make it to the Thinker. Unfortunately, Reed Wall was still in charge of Minerva's den.
After some searching, I made contact with Charles Milton Porter in Minerva's den. A productive exchange. Clearly, Rapture is no place to continue my research. But Porter says that if he can find a way to return to the surface along with the programming for his mainframe, we could then rebuild the machine and work together towards the cure. I have located an Alpha Series to assist him, Subject Sigma. I must return to the surface. If Sigma is successful in Minerva's den, then the cure for Adam's curse is on its way. It is only a matter of time.
The irony of my predictive equation is that it sometimes requires blind faith. I see the individual elements crashing against each other, and the urgency of what I must do to maintain my part in the plan is clear. But I cannot always see just why. An Alpha series is headed to Minerva's den, subject Sigma, and the equation states that if he reaches the computer core, catastrophe! I do not know why, yet. But I know what must be done. Subject Sigma is approaching Minerva's den. He must not reach the thinker. Detonate the tunnel!
Sigma fell unconscious when he hit the seabed. Meanwhile, Eleanor became disobedient to Lamb when she came to detest the testing of religion surrounding her.
Hello, Mother. As you've always said, I shouldn't be allowed to wander the city in my condition. But without going outside, it's harder to hear much about the world, so I'm learning at home. This, I think, is a porcelain tea service in the style of Louis XV. Isn't that right? Now, that's a fascinating sound. And this is called a stained glass window, handcrafted by your adoring flock. They've gone to a lot of trouble to capture your likeness, haven't they? I've been quarantined, but Mother's unaware of the extent of my connections to the new little sisters. I don't just empathize with them, I can control them directly. They are my hands and my eyes now. Better yet, we have found Father's body and took a gene sample. The girls are hiding the samples inside those dolls we used to make. It's only a matter of time before I work out a way to rig one of those Vita chambers to seek his genetic signature. And then, I can't wait to see Mother's face.
Eleanor was quarantined when she became disobedient. She still had connections to the little sisters, and through them she saw what Tenenbaum was doing. So she requested that Tenenbaum bring subject Delta back as well, and Tenenbaum complied, using the Vita chambers once more.
We've done it. Father is back, right under Mother's nose. I've contacted a woman named Tenenbaum through my sisters. We've worked out a way to free his mind inside that suit, to awaken the man inside the monster. Mother's entire belief structure is corrupt. And if I know one thing about Father, it's that he will believe in escape.
Eleanor, it is time for you to accept your duty to the people. When you awake, you'll understand.
No! Get away from me!
The Thinker's algorithm is highly accurate in predicting local phenomena. But how far can I trust the machine? I have found it running protocols that are not mine. The old Alpha series are returning. Someone is cutting them loose. Delta, Sigma, and the machine has no data on them, which makes no... Is it hiding them from me? Is it conspiring against its master? Sending someone? No! I am so close to seeing everything. No one will get that away. Not even the machine itself.
To stop her from helping her enemies, Lamb put Eleanor to sleep in a suspended animation or comatose-like state. However, Eleanor maintained a connection with Delta and the other little sisters, and she could communicate with them even in her condition. Meanwhile, Melissa arrived in Rapture, desperate to find Cindy.
Barely made it down alive. But here it is. And it's real. Rapture. This is where that thing took my poor baby girl. From what I saw in the sub, most of the city's in ruins. But there were lights here and there. And shapes moving. I'm rambling, scared, I guess. But maybe, if I find this Dr. Lamb I keep hearing over the PA, I'll find Cindy too. What happened here? Under the crust of grime, I can see what this place used to be. An absolute marvel of human accomplishment, kept a secret all this time. A secret hidden from the rest of the world. My daughter's here. Somewhere. But I'm on my own finding her. The trains still work, mostly. I'll see where they lead. Cindy, honey, Daddy will find you.
Hello, can you hear me?
What is the greatest lie ever created? What is the most...
Father! Are you as good as my daddy, mister? Not if you don't visit the Gatherer's Garden, you aren't.
Daddy was sleeping for such a long time, and Eleanor has missed you. Find her and you'll be all better. Daddy!
Vicious obscenity ever perpetrated on mankind.
At last, a signal. You, who are bringing this dead city to life, listen. My name, it is Tannenbaum. I know who you are, and I am in much need of your help. Please, find me in the Atlantic Express train station. This is Dr. Sophia Lamb with a message for the people. Remember, you are not alone. Think of me not as leader, but as mother to the Rapture family.
Slavery, the Holocaust, dictatorship.
Big sister doesn't want you playing with me.
No. It's the tool with which all that wickedness is built.
This is Dr. Sophia Lamb with a message for the people. Remember, Big Sister is always watching. To steal Adam is to steal from the Rapture family. Your family.
Altruism.
In that suit, even the ocean cannot harm you. This is good. But Rapture is the death of many great men. Alone, you will not last long. You can still reach the train station. Find me there. Ah, Herr Delta. You arrive, as the little one said you would. Come upstairs to the ticket booth, and I will offer what I know of you.
Loves mambo. Mama loves mambo.
Now most who survive are like this. Splicers. They're drug addicts.
Look at him sway with it, getting so gay with it, shout no lay with it. Wow.
This is Dr. Sophia Lamb. Andrew Ryan is dead, but the tyrant dwells within us all. Remember, we reject the gene. We reject the self. We reject the tyrant. I know you. That symbol on your hand marks you a dead man. 10 years, Subject Delta, since I watched you put a gun to your head and pull the trigger. But take heart. Out of your pain, paradise was born. I don't know how you survived, but your suffering is over now. These men will ease your burden. Please understand that like all I have done, this is an act of love. It is Sophia Lamb. She has found you.
Papa loves mambo. Papa loves mambo. Mama loves mambo. Papa does great with it, swings like a gate with it.
Now you know of the enemy we share, Sophia Lamb. The camera in your helmet allows me to watch through your eyes and help you to fight her.
He loses weight with it now, he goes to...
Careful, security cameras belong to Lamb. But if you are clever, they can be made to serve you.
She goes slow, he goes fast.
Father, it's me, Eleanor. I know you're awake in there. I can feel it. Mother won't be able to toy with you like that ever again. This plasmid is for you. If I'm right, you can use it now. Please, find me.
She goes slow, he goes left.
Ugh, Sophia Lamb is using the splicers against you. Most big daddies are like her slaves, guarding the little ones. But someone has awakened you. I know of your bond with Eleanor Delta. To save yourself, you will come for her. But Eleanor has a destiny, one you cannot share. There is no place for you in paradise. Quickly, head for the elevator.
She goes right.
Now, here is what the children tell me. You are a very old Big Daddy, bonded for life to a single little one. When you are apart for too long, your body begins to shut down like a coma. As long as the girl is in Rapture, you are trapped here as well. The name of your little one is Eleanor Lamb, daughter of Sophia. She is kept at Fontaine Futuristics on the other side of the city. You must go there and save her before it is too late. You see? This is why I must fight Sophia Lamb. She is using the new little ones for something, and I have returned to rescue them. If I do not, more children will die for my sins, and the Rapture nightmare will repeat forever. Now, We must talk. Citizens of Rapture, this is Subject Delta. Behind that mask hides an enemy of the people, without soul or sympathy. It is a beast apart, and as family, we must tear out its jaw and drive it back into the sea.
Lamb will take this place apart to find you. Please hold back the splicers until we escape.
Papa loves mambo. Mama loves...
Thank you. Now I must leave you, and I am sorry for this. But there are others I must help before the city drowns. This man Sinclair, he is an ally, and will guide you to Eleanor. Goodbye, Herr Delta. And good luck.
Well, look at you. A bona fide knight in armor, complete with iron horse. The name's Augustus Sinclair, Sport, Esquire. Old Tannenbaum and I share an interest in the old Fontaine building, the very same place you'll find Eleanor Lamb. I think you and I can do business. Take the train to Ryan Amusements. I'll see you shortly.
Mambo. Having a fling again, younger than spring again.
Whoa there. Now better apply the brakes unless you're aiming to dash yourself against that glacier up ahead.
Feeling that sing again. Wow. Papa loves mambo.
As you can see, Chief, the station here's iced over. To reach Eleanor Lamb at Fontaine headquarters, we'll have to clear the way. Now, in order to melt that ice, you'll need a plasmid, like a handful of hellfire. We used to sell a fine old product called Incinerate in the amusement park up yonder. Go on and find a way in. I've already been on all the rides.
Mama loves mambo. Mama loves mambo. Don't let her run.
You're a rare old model, son. Alpha Series, I believe. Now, Rapture's full of scientific wonderments just like you. And if we can sell them to the world at my price, well, curing your condition ought to be a cakewalk. Once we find Eleanor, the sky's the limit.
Don't let the sunbugs. Papa loves mambo tonight.
Jim dandy. That'll get you in the park. But buying Incinerate's gonna cost Adam. It's a sort of genetic goo that lets you rewrite whatever God gave you. The Little Sisters carry the stuff, as you may recall, so you'll need to locate one. I heard whispering near the El Dorado Lounge. Have a look.
I am Andrew Ryan. Welcome Amusements. Please enjoy.
Until you arrive, Father, I'm trapped here. Smuggling these gifts out is the most I can do to help.
Now that Big Daddy won't bite until you do. But to get to Lil Sis, you gotta put the old boy down. Take a breath, son. You did it. Now, just let her ride on your shoulders and she'll trust you like her own daddy. We're in business. Now, there are corpses all over Rapture, and little Dimples there can sniff out the atom on them. Find one. She's got a juicy one, but when she starts draining out the atom, the splicers will come running. Be ready before you set her down on that body.
She goes slow, he goes fast.
That is a child of the family, not a toy for you to exploit and discard. It is fitting that you expire here. One more forgotten curio in Ryan's shrine to the self.
Here they come. Keep the splicers off her now till she's finished, or they'll never give up the hunt.
She goes slow.
Now you know the stakes, son. But a plasmid costs a bit more atom yet. Keep it up.
She goes left. She goes right.
On the surface, the farmer tills the soil, trading the strength of his arm for land. The parasites say no. What was yours is ours. We are a state. We are gone. We demand our share.
Papa's looking for Mama, but Mama is nowhere in sight. Adam, Daddy, here.
I do not hate you, Delta. Indeed, I care for you in equal measure to any other sentient creature. But I cannot sacrifice 1,000 of my children for one rebellious son.
All right, Chief, we've almost got enough atom now. To get the rest, you'll have to take care of that little sister. There should be one of the air vents they favor in the workshop. Bring her down there.
On the surface, the scientist invests the power of his mind in a single miraculous act. An artist strives to frame his ideals in an image, to challenge his audience and make his vision immortal. But the parasites say, your art will serve the cause. Your ideals contain...
Now Tannenbaum would have you turn that sister human again. You'll get just enough atom for our purposes, and the girls will likely try to repay you somehow. But Rapture's a high-stakes town, son, and she is a jackpot. You just have to be willing to take it all. You'll harvest more atom than the price of one plasmid, so the rest is gravy. Think about it. Down here, it's your survival or hers.
Thank you.
Well, our Tin Man had a heart all along. Personally, I call that a liability, but you have enough atom now. Barely. Head to the Hall of the Future and splice up with Incinerate.
On the surface, your parents sought a private life, using their great talents to provide for you. They learned to twist the lies of church and government, believing themselves masters of the system.
So, you would drain the people of their life's blood. Rapture is a body, Delta. I am the voice, and Big Sister is the hand. When Rapture speaks of you, it says only this. Sleep now. Your day is done.
Holy Moses, son. Not even a Big Sister can keep you down. Well, come on back and melt the ice and we can say goodbye to this 2-bit carny ride. Outstanding sport. You're proving to be quite a windfall. Now just open the train tunnel from the security booth there and I'll come out and jump on. I like to look a man in the eye when I give him my word. You and me, kid, we're going places.
I had thought you some golem of Sinclair's, brought here to hold Rapture's arms while he rifles through her pockets. But no, you are aware of your plight. Who, I wonder, would be so cruel to force a mirror on a man with no face?
Lamb was waiting for us. Come out shooting and start the train.
Remember, the enemy is alone. We are the family.
Lamb's trying to box us in, kid. This is a goddamn citywide lockdown. To keep the train moving, you need the security override key from the local governor, Grace Holloway. She kicked me out of my own hotel down here, the Sinclair Deluxe. Find her and get that key.
I remember you, monster. You stole Eleanor from me. Twisted that baby girl into a thing so sick it can't even die. And now you come swanning into my neighborhood looking for me. Wrong turn, Tin Daddy. When we hang you from a street light and you choking out your last, I want you to remember my face.
Gracie says, piss off and die, you tin shithouse.
Well, sport, I guess Gracie's home. But that big lug just dropped half my damn hotel in your way. Now, to break through that mess, I expect you're gonna have to work out how he got so burly. Find yourself a genetic research camera, son. You can pick up any number of tricks from a splicer with one of those. Try the pawn shop downtown. Well, there's the pawn shop, but it's bolted up tight. You'll have to find another way inside, I expect.
Eleanor's grown now, baby snatcher. Even after what you did to her, Dr. Lamb found a way to shape that girl into something perfect, something holy. She's a daughter to us all. Nobody in Rapture will shelter you now.
Gracie's got the wrong idea. You're not responsible for turning Eleanor into a little sister. Big daddies are just slaves, and you only recently broke free. That thing's a miracle in Technicolor, kid. Works like a movie camera. Start the film rolling before you open fire on a splicer, and then anything you hit him with tells you more about his DNA. Let's give it a dry run, shall we? That's it, son. Camera spits out a prize once in a while as you learn what makes a splicer tick. Now, find one of those big old brutes and take him out on film. Before long, you'll be able to brush aside that mess at the hotel. Using that camera's a bit like telling a joke. Each time you tell it the same way, it gets a little more stale, so you gotta change it up to keep it fresh. There's one of those big goons now. Start your camera rolling on him, and then let him have it. Look at you, sport. A regular junior shutterbug. And it appears you've picked up a new trick from that big galoot. Now get back to the Sinclair Deluxe and just bust through that mess blocking your way.
For Grace, the paradise of Andrew Ryan was most unkind. She spoke against him in song, and he had her blacklisted. It left her penniless. But in the family, she has found hope, a reason to draw breath. Ask yourself, Delta, do you deserve to take it from her?
Just rev up that drill of yours and slam right through that pile of junk blocking your way. Now Gracie was on the top floor. Get on up there and persuade her to give you that override key.
The baby snatcher's headed up into the hotel, family. He wants me so he can get to Eleanor. Tin Daddy feels no guilt. Tin Daddy feels no pain. But we are the family and we can teach him how. Blood divides us, monster. It's blood that makes us strangers. But thanks to Dr. Lamb, we're all family now. One people, one cause. You can stop this heart bleed, this old body, but you cannot end the family. And as for you, Tin Daddy, you're dying alone.
Gracie's room is just up ahead. Now, she's been sending all manner of unkindness your way, so I'm not particular as to how you take that key away from her, but she's old, and this grudge against you was based on a misunderstanding.
We both died tonight, monster. I, because your kind has killing in its nature. And you, because there's no way the family will let you stroll out alive with that key. I know what you're here for. Go on, take it. I won't have you touching me. Dr. Lamb trusted me to care for her child. And I tried. But baby Eleanor disappeared. And then one day, I see her walking with you, looking wrong. And when I tried to hold her, you knocked me down. Broke my jaw. So I'm ready, baby snatcher. Come on in and finish the job.
Your call, friend. Gracie's unarmed, for what it's worth.
To hell with you, then. Go on.
You're a bigger man than I am, Chief. Maybe next time she'll think twice about pointing fingers before all the facts are in. Now, let's be on our way. Eleanor's waiting.
You had me under a gun, yet you just walk away? No monster alive turns the other cheek. No monster does that. A thinking man does that. I know that Dr. Lamb is no liar, but she's got to be wrong about you. Doesn't seem right now, letting you walk into that bushwhack waiting outside. I can't call off the family, but I can whisper a bit and improve your odds. These whirlybirds are custom jobs by an old friend. I'm afraid this is all I can do for now. Well, sir, I don't know what to call you now. You've done more than just spare my life. You've opened my eyes. I need to put a few questions to Dr. Lamb.
By sparing grace, do you seek to gain my trust? A feeble ruse. Your crocodile tears may poison her with doubt, but I am not so easy a mark.
Hear me, O ye who would murder the Lamb of God! Ye shall never reach her God!
Kid, come on, wake up now. There you are. I thought you rode that torpedo into the great hereafter. I'm in Dionysus Park now. Train cars are shambles, leaking air. Whole damn place is flooded and sealed. But there's a pumping station back there on Siren Alley, and I believe you could jerry-rig it to drain the park out. That'd let you stroll right inside. Get to those pumps, and hurry.
I see Father Wales has parted you from your craft, and yet you cling to life. Congratulations. Today, Delta, you meet a man who has no fear of death, and for Eleanor, he would burn with a smile.
Mother of mercy, I think that was Simon Wales. What's he done to himself? He and his brother were Rapture's architects, but when Doc Lamb came along, Simon got religion. He's got a kind of church down in the pumping station. Expect a reckoning when you arrive.
I think Mother knows I'm helping you like this. She's accelerating my treatments. Don't give up on me.
I've got the maddening notion that I owe you my life, stranger. Such as it is. I'm sending you a care package to the pneumo along the way. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell Dr. Lamb.
The Pearl was among the ritziest lodgings in Rapture, but during the war, the residents put themselves up for sale. Daniel's office is on the top floor, I believe. It has to be Daniel. Hunt him down and pin his ears back, kid.
Faith, Delta. It lives within us, yet beyond us. Daniel Wales lacked it. Father Simon Wales does not. The faithful do not die in fear as you did. We achieve martyrdom.
You're not alone, Father. The girls you rescued are on your side. Check the Gatherer's Garden for a package.
Now through this junction is the rest of the alley, including the very pumping station we're after. Father Wales has been recruiting holy rollers down there for Lamb.
Father Simon Wales, can you hear me? I have trapped a devil at your doorstep. And Simon, Daniel, is dead. Murdered. Can you hear him crying out for justice?
They've cut the power on you. You're stuck till the backups kick in. I'll help you hold them back. Check the pneumo.
Know this, beast. Daniel's body may go cold, but his soul rests with the child of the Lamb. You shall roast and blacken in the pit, and it'll be a grieving brother sent you there. Your sin itself marches to meet, beast, and its name is Legion. Eleanor Lamb is our salvation, demon. You shall not rob us of our final reward.
Attaboy, sport. I think you're closing in on Simon's underground temple. Now get down to pumping station number 5 and drain out the park here. Oxygen's running thin in this train car, and I'd sure hate to see our partnership cut short.
Ask yourself, Delta. You who have suffered beyond measure at the hands of men like Ryan. What is the cost of paradise? To end pain, to end sin. What must we pay? Eleanor is my answer.
Each of you know the child of the Lamb. Through Adam, our soul shall pass into her holy blood, and will be reborn as a single immaculate. But the beast is upon us, children. It wears a hide of iron, and its it would seize the child from us, and with her, paradise itself. Be ye soldier of the ground, or angel of the sky, we must stand fast and send it howling back to hell.
Pump control ought to be in the back. One thing though, once you transfer the suction to Dionysus Park, we've got a tiny window of opportunity to get you inside. I don't have much air left, but I'll hang in there. You make sure you're ready before you throw that switch.
Do you think me a tyrant, Delta? Vying for control of a dead man's dream? The city is nothing. Rapture must die so that Eleanor may rise from its body. Allow me to demonstrate.
Lamb's overloading the pumps. The place is coming down. Get to Dionysus Park.
Subject Delta, I want you to commit this moment to memory for me. This howling, brutish slog through the dark. This is who we are.
Get out of there, kid!
Look, Delta, it is the world for which you strive. You, alone among the dead.
Dionysus Park was owned by Sophia Lamb, Chief. Sort of a private retreat for her social experiments. One night it flooded, killing all her guests. Papers said it was cult-related. Come on up to the train station. Let's rendezvous.
Attention! Subject Delta has drained and infiltrated Dionysus Park. His death is our rebirth. The life of the People's Daughter is in your hands.